Hey everyone, Isabelle Fox here, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to up your rates without losing regs. I'm actually going to walk you through the process that I put into place myself every time I increased my rates. I went as a professional escort from $600 an hour to $650 to $700 to $850 to $1,200 to $1,500 to $2,000, and I used this approach every single time. I also do it with all the girls that I work with anytime that we decide that it's time to increase our rates. This is exactly how we roll it out. Firstly, you need to learn to level up. Now, this is actually a gaming term which I learned through one of my brothers and my partner who like to do gaming, which is super boring to me, but hey, who am I to judge the leisure activities of others? But anyway, you want to think of increasing your rates as learning to level up as opposed to losing clients, which is often the mentality that I hear from girls when they talk about increasing their rates. They say, oh, I don't want to put my rates up because I don't want to lose clients. Well, guess what? As you increase your rates, you will lose clients. But this actually isn't a bad thing. This is simply business growth. You need to learn to shed the old to embrace the new. And in fact, as you do this, you will actually find yourself happy to be rid of those annoying, pesky clients. We've all got them, the ones that come and begrudgingly pay our rate and are way more trouble than they're actually worth. As you increase your rates over time, you will shed those clients and you'll take on new clients who don't cause you those sorts of issues. So remember to embrace that mentality. Is you're not losing any clients, you are leveling up, you're growing, you're improving your business, and as that happens, you have to get rid of people along the way. Just like you do in life. You're not friends probably with all the same people that you were once friends with as a child. As you've gotten older and you've evolved and you've grown, you've shed the people who no longer suit you and you learn to meet new people. Now, this isn't to say that those people or even those clients that you shed are bad. They just no longer are in line with your growth and your direction. So this is actually a really positive thing. So learn to embrace that. Firstly, when do you actually know that it's time to up your rates? There are a few different ways I know that it's time to up rates with girls that I work with. So number one is when you are getting too many inquiries and you find yourself regularly turning down work, or you're becoming burnt out due to the high volume clients. So if you're constantly getting text messages, or if you're working perhaps in a parlor and you've always got these clients who are wanting to see you and you can no longer actually keep up with the volume of inquiries that you're getting, then you know that this is a good time to put up your rates. Or similarly, if you are taking all the bookings, but you're actually getting really burnt out and you're starting to need to have days off, you're getting sick, all the sorts of things that happen with burnout, then you know that this is a good time to up your rates. 2, if you no longer feel motivated by your current rates and you turn down work because the money you're getting paid no longer feels worth it. Now, this happens as you invest in yourself and you invest in your skills and your self-worth. As that starts to grow, you'll sometimes get to a point where you're doing work at a certain level and you start to really value yourself more and you think, you know what, I'm actually worth more than what I'm currently getting paid. And you'll start to feel not very motivated by the money that you're getting paid. So perhaps you're earning $500 an hour now, and the $500 that used to really motivate you in the morning and get you out of bed, excited, ready to go see that client, you might start to feel like, oh, it's only $500. Now, this isn't a bad thing. This is actually an excellent sign of personal growth and seeing that your self-worth is growing. So if you see that starting to happen, you need to reignite that flame and remotivate yourself by increasing your rate to a number that does motivate you. So ask yourself, if you're not motivated by $500 an hour, are you motivated by $600? If you're not motivated by $600, is $700 a number that gets you excited? If that's the case, then you need to put those rates up because you're going to be losing money anyway. If you're turning down clients because you don't feel like it's worth it to get out of bed, then really you're just losing that client. You may as well put the rate up and have clients inquiring to see you at that higher rate that you will actually go out and work for. The last one is if your availability drastically changes. Upping your rates becomes an important strategic move. Now, this doesn't just happen when your availability drastically changes. There can be some other things that happens too, but I'm going to hone in on this one because it's the most common one. Say you've been working full-time as a professional escort, then you decide to start studying. You're now only available 3 days a week instead of 7 days a week. it can be a very clever strategic move to increase your rates because you naturally can't take as many bookings anyway. You may have slightly less inquiries at a higher rate, but you can't take all of them. So you'd rather get less inquiries at a higher rate that you can actually do, rather than getting lots of inquiries that you're constantly turning down. Also, when you're at a higher rate, you tend to have clients when they're paying more money who have more complex issues, and therefore they will at times be more flexible because they really want to see you. So when you're at a higher rate, you can generally demand more flexibility with your clients and they'll fit in with your schedule more. So that's another reason to up your rates. So now if you've actually decided that yes, it's time for me to up my rates, let's get into how you do that without losing your current regular clients. For a lot of us, if you have regular clients, they're kind of your bread and butter. They're what you rely on to make sure that your income stays somewhat stable. So even though you want to increase your rates, you don't want to let go of that support system that you have financially that actually keeps you going. But there is a way that you can retain that support system and increase your rates until you develop regulars and a support system at your new rates, and then you can handle the old rates, the old clients, which we're going to go through now. So firstly, what I'll do is I start by increasing rates for new clients only. Now you can do this in multiple ways. If you advertise on just one platform, let's say you're advertising on Scarlet Blue, then you simply just put your rate up on Scarlet Blue. And that is now your new rate. You're only on one place, so all the clients who see you are going to see you at this set rate. However, if you advertise on multiple platforms, you may choose to increase them on one platform only. Then slowly, as you book clients at your new rates and you gain confidence at that new rate, you can increase them across the board. So in the beginning, you might feel really nervous and worried that you're not going to get clients at that higher rate. And what you actually just need to do is book a few clients, say 3, 4, 5, so that you can see, hey, I actually can get clients at that rate. You'll start to believe it, and trust me, you won't really want to work for that lower rate anymore. So sometimes if you just kind of dip your toe in the water, that will help you to give you the confidence that you need to increase them across the board. Another way you can do this is you can choose to increase your rates in just one part. For instance, if you have a GFE and a PSE rate, you could just increase your GFE rate and leave your PSE as is. So again, that's not as confronting for you. You can build up some confidence to see that, hey, I can actually get clients at this higher rate, and you won't have any change in your clients, the pool of clients that are currently seeing you, because your PSE is the same as it is for that rate. So that's another way to break it up for you so that it's not just one big hit at a time. So if you're advertising on Scarlet Blue and Private Girls and say Punter Planet as well, you might start by just putting it up on Scarlet Blue. Then once you've gotten a few bookings, you'll go to Private Girls, you'll put it up there, then you'll go to Punter Planet and you'll put it up there, and eventually everywhere you advertise, new clients will see that this is now your rate. The next thing you need to do is you need to let your regs know your rates have increased. So all of the current regular clients that you have that you rely on for that consistent income, you need to let them know in a professional way that the rates have increased. You can't just rely on your client going to your profile and now knowing that the rate is up. Some clients will see that it's increased and they may choose to not say anything. Other clients who have been seeing you a long time may no longer even go to your profile anymore. Or some clients will see that it's up and they won't know what to do. They're not going to broach that topic with you first. They're going to wait for you to broach it. Every now and then you may get a regular client who regularly checks those rates and they just give you the new rate. And that's definitely happened to me. I've had a client turn up. I actually wasn't intending on charging him the new rate because I didn't tell him. You should always advise your clients first. And he's just showed up and given me the new rate, which is obviously really easy. But most of the time that won't happen. So what I will actually do is once I've put my rates up on any platform, I will contact all of my regular clients via text before we meet again. Now there's two reasons I do this via text. One is I try not to discuss too much money in person. I like to have all the business stuff taken care of before we meet so that when we're in person, I can just focus on providing a great service and having a really good time with my client. Secondly, it is more professional to do this, to let them know ahead of time rather than just on the spot. Then that leads way to awkward conversations. They may decide for whatever reason that they no longer want to see you, even though you are retaining their rate. You don't always know how a client is going to respond. So let them know in advance, firstly, so that you don't ruin the experience, and secondly, because it is more professional to give somebody advance warning. So this is exactly how I will word my text or email to a regular client of mine. I will say, "Hi John, I just wanted to let you know that recently I've been investing in increasing the quality of my service to my clients. And as a result, my rates have increased from X to X as a reflection of that. However, I want you to know how much I value you as a client and our time together. And so at this time, as a gesture of appreciation, I'm going to keep our rate as is. I can't wait to see you again soon and continue to create naughty memories together. With love, Isabelle." I'll include some emojis, maybe I'll include a new sexy pic, because anything is always better delivered with a naked photo. So let's go through this message and break it down. Firstly, I haven't just said, "I'm now putting my rate up." Even though you may not feel like you need to give a reason, it's always better to give a reason to a client. Why is your rate now higher when perhaps in his mind, he's getting the exact same thing he's always gotten? Even though you're obviously not increasing your rates here, that's what he's going to be thinking. Has she just woken up one day and decided to put her rate up? If you walked into his doctor's clinic and they just decided to put their rate up, he may ask them the same question. "Well, why have you put your rates up?" And generally a business will say something like, "Our expenses have increased. We've hired better doctors, blah, blah, blah." So it's nice to give a rational explanation for why you're increasing your rates. Now, it's even better if you give an explanation that means that the client is going to have a better experience. So I could say, "I've increased my rates because the cost of advertising has gone up." But even though the client will understand that, there's no benefit in that to him. So he's not going to take that as well. But if I explain to him, "Well, actually, I've been doing a lot to make sure I deliver the best possible service to my clients. If you want to, you can go into detail on what that is, although I wouldn't do it here. They might ask you, in which case you can come up with some things. I've learned some new services. I'm offering some new things. I've been making sure that I look better than usual." And you can come up with your own things, and you should be doing this anyway. You should be investing in your business and trying to improve the quality of your service to your clients. So firstly, you give your client a reason as to why your rate has increased. Secondly, "I have specifically said to my client, I value you as a client." Now, a lot of workers will very intentionally try to not refer to their clients as clients. Now, I don't do this all the time. I obviously don't see them at the door and say, "Hey client, so great to see you." I will always be very personable and intimate with my clients. But you also want to be enforcing from time to time that your client is your client and that this is a business transaction. And the reason to do this is because you often lose clients when a client starts to feel too emotionally attached to you and he self-sabotages the relationship because he's trying to have you prove to him that he's special to you and more than just a client. So it's important that you, from time to time, drop to your client that you're really special to me and I really value you, but as a client. And that will actually retain that client as a client for longer than what you would think if you let them assume that this is now a personal relationship. Now that sounds like a bit of a paradox, but it actually isn't. Often people will lose clients when the client begins to feel, sometimes because the worker has led them on to believe that they are more special than that. Then there'll come a day where they try to test that relationship and that boundary. They might ask for a discount. They might try to stay longer than they're supposed to. And the worker now pushes them back and puts them back in their place. Now the client feels very betrayed, he feels upset, he feels like he's been led on. Even though these things aren't rational, this is the way that people respond emotionally to these situations. Now you can avoid all of this by from time to time reminding your client how much you value your business relationship. This is how professional high-end escorts keep clients for year after year after year. They make them feel special, but they also don't ever allow it to get to a point where a client feels like they're intimately important in a personal way, in which case they end up leaving anyway. You will always lose those clients because they'll feel upset and betrayed. So, I let them know that I value them as a client, I value our time together, and I'm actually going to show them how much I value that by giving them a gesture of my appreciation and keeping the rate as is. I've also said in this sentence, at this time, because I'm not going to say I'm going to keep your rate as it is forever, because there may come a time where I want to increase my rates across the board even with them, which we will do, and we'll get to that in a moment. So you make it clear that you just say at this time. I don't give a time frame, I don't come up with a negotiation on that. I just say at this time we'll keep it as is. That way I'm in control. When I decide that the time is up, I can let them know that. Then I ended on something soft and nice, and I added a little picture like I said. So this is the best way. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, it's professional, and it always ends on a personable, I can't wait to see you again note. Now, once you're busy at your new rates, so you've increased them across the board, you're getting new inquiries, you perhaps have even started to get some regulars, and most importantly, you feel confident now at your new rate, then it's time to increase them for everyone. So now, for however long after the fact, it might be say 2 weeks, it could be a few months, I will re-text those clients who are still seeing me, who I had at the old rate, and I will let them know that the rates have increased. And this is what I will say. Hi John, as you know, 4 weeks ago, I increased my rates as a display of my further investment in the quality of my service to my clients. At the time, I was able to keep our rates as they were. However, now I am increasing them across the board to my new rate. I do understand if that means for you that we can no longer see each other. However, I love our time together and would really love for us to continue seeing each other. Let me know your thoughts. With love, Isabelle. So let's break this down. Again, I remind the client why my rate has increased, because the quality of my service has increased. If you have a really specific reason, perhaps you have started offering far more services than what you once were, then you can always say that instead. You can say, because I am now offering vastly more services in my blah, blah, blah service. The only issue you have with that is that the clients may say, well, I don't want to do any of those services. Can we keep it like this? That's why I decide usually to refer to just the overall quality of the experience. Now, your client could come back and say something like, well, I don't feel like the quality of the experience has changed at all, but most clients won't say that to you, and you can always counter with saying, I have been investing in this area, this area, this area. So that's why I say that first sentence. I move on to simply say that I did keep them as they were, now I'm increasing them across the board. So I don't just say to him, I'm now going to up your rate. I let him know that this isn't a personal thing. This is just me now deciding that everybody is going to be on the same rate. Then lastly, I let him know that it's totally fine if he can no longer continue to see me. You need to give clients that out. They may have a very genuine reason for why they no longer want to pay a higher rate, and that's fine. Remember, you're only increasing it because you can now afford to lose that client because you have new clients at your current rate. Then you remind him that you love your time together and you would love to continue seeing him, and you invite him to let you know your thoughts. Now, when your client replies, assuming that he replies and he says whatever it is that he says, there are a number of ways that this can go. He may just totally agree, that's fine, I totally understand, can't wait to see you at the new rate. And then he may not see you again, and that's fine. He may come back at you and say something like, I would really love to keep seeing you, but I can't afford it. In which case, depending on how the client has been seeing you, you can suggest other things. So if your client up until now has been seeing you for a 2-hour GFE, and he comes back to you and says, I can't afford it, then you can say, why don't we meet for a 1.5-hour GFE? Or a 1-hour GFE, and I promise to pack in as much fun into that time as we have in our 2 hours. So you show the client that there are other options. Now, they may just decide that, no, I don't want to do that, and that's totally fine, you don't push it. But they might come back at you, and you will possibly have the opportunity to come up with a solution for them. So this works really well. Again, it's really professional, it's very straight to the point, it provides clear understanding as to why you're doing this, and it doesn't pressure them, it leaves the decision up to them. Now, there are times where you may want to keep your clients at your old rate, and there are a few different reasons why you might choose to do this. Firstly, I will keep clients at their old rate if they offer value to me in some other area of life that is important. For instance, they might be really well business minded and give you lots of advice in that area that you can then action and really improve that area of your life. They could be really well connected. I've known clients who have had really good accounting connections, had bank connections, and they were able to hook me up with those, and that provided value beyond the rate that I was charging them at. It might be a client that has really good financial advice for you. I used to see a lot of older businessmen, and they really did have valuable lessons to impart on me that I was able to implement in other areas of my life that was just totally worth continuing to see them at a lower rate. There may be other things. I know girls who have clients who fly them around all the time, so they keep the rate as it is because that travel and the experience that the client provides is really of value to them and really important to them. So whatever it may be to you, if you genuinely feel like that client offers more to you than simply the rate that you're charging them and you're happy to see them at the older rate, then by all means continue to see them. However, don't kid yourself into thinking that you want to see a client for another reason if what you really are is just afraid of losing the money. If you're afraid of losing the money, then you either need to address your mindset about money, or you need to go back to your business model and implement things so that you aren't reliant on one client at a lower rate. 2, sometimes you'll keep a client if they're really flexible and they'll happily fit into your schedule. So if you have a client who you can literally just text and say, hey, I'm free today at this time, and he'll come and see you, and he's low energy and not demanding, then great, you might choose to continue to see him at the lower rate because that works for you. And on the same token, there may be a client who texts you and say, hey, can I meet? You say no, and they say that's cool, and they just see you another day. If that's the case, sometimes those clients can still be of value to you. Thirdly, I'll continue to see a client if I feel like they're really easy and require little energy from me. I won't keep these clients on for long because I would rather be doing things that are more taxing but give me more value back. So I'd rather do something that's hard but that really improves my life rather than just do something that's easy because it fills in the time and makes a bit of money. However, there are times where you may genuinely be like, oh, I'm just happy to see that guy. He's so easy. He just comes and he leaves after 15 minutes even though he pays for an hour, and it's totally worth it. If that's the case, you can keep those clients if you don't think that they're going to pay the new rate. Lastly is I will keep clients if they refer other clients to me who will pay the full rate. Now, this is more of a business concept that is relevant in other businesses. In our industry, we obviously don't get client-to-client referrals that often because of the nature of the work. However, you do at times get them. If you have a really well-connected client who has wealthy friends and they have the sort of relationship where they talk about this sort of thing and they refer them to you, then great, that client may be worth more to you than the new rate. However, remember with all of these things that any time spent with these clients is time away from clients you could be seeing who do pay the full rate. So even though it may seem like, oh, this is just super easy, I'm just going to fit this guy in. Well, you now have fit this guy in when you could have been either prospecting for new clients, resting for new clients, or actually seeing that new client. Sometimes just because you have an hour free in a day and you can squeeze a client in doesn't mean that you should. The overall quality of the experience that you offer to your client is very dependent on how well rested and energized you are. I'm going to end this on pointing out that there is a direct correlation between self-worth and net worth. And what I mean by that is that it's been proven that high confidence and self-esteem leads to greater income. So even though I can give you all the tools for implementing how to do this in a practical way, behind it all, you need to have the mindset cultivated that you deserve to charge more, that you're worth more money, that you're not afraid of asking for more money. And that really all comes from doing work on your mindset and improving your self-worth. So to do this, you really need to invest in yourself and your business. You need to make growth a priority. And sometimes that means actually putting personal development and growth in the interim above money making, because you know that doing that will eventually mean that you earn more money. So if money is what's really important to you, sometimes you need to say, I'm going to pull back on money earning today and I'm going to invest in myself, because in the end, that will mean I can make more money. Just like how when you invest money in a business program, it costs you to pay for that program, but then the result is that you learn skills that means you can charge more. So not only does it pay for the program, it also now means that you can earn more money. So you end up making money. Don't surround yourself with idiots and naysayers. You are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. My life really changed when I started to cull people from my life who were negative, who always told me that I couldn't put my rate up, who always told me that nobody would pay that, who always wanted me to go out and party with them on the weekend, do drugs, sleep in, eat badly, not exercise. These sorts of people will pull you down in life. You need to surround yourself with people who are happy to see you succeed and who are also like-minded and want to do that as well. You want people who are also investing in their own growth. You are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's been documented very well as well. And if you listen to any successful person like Steve Jobs or Brian Tracy, they all say the same thing. So it's important that you try to find a network of people who are all doing the same thing as you. Lastly, my life totally changed when I began finding mentors who were already successful in the way that I wanted to be successful. Now, because of the nature of the industry, I wasn't really able to find anyone in the industry who had helpful advice or who could be a mentor for me. I had to go and source that expertise outside of the industry, and then I had to learn to apply it to myself. So what I did was I went and looked for people who were really successful in business, who were making the money that I wanted to make, who were leading the kind of lives that I wanted to lead, and I tried to learn from them. Just know that other people's mistakes can actually be your own valuable lessons without the pain. So a lot of people have tried things, and if you stop and listen to them, you might see that, okay, I actually don't even have to try that to learn that lesson. I can just know from their wise experience not to do that. So that's why mentors are so important for overall success. So everyone, there you have it. That is exactly how I myself increased my rates from $600 an hour to $2,000 without losing my regular clients along the way. And it's also the exact methodology I use for all the girls that I work with when we want to increase their rates without losing their regular clients. Give it a try and see how it works for you. You can get in touch with me anytime via text or email. And I would also love it if you could head over to my new Twitter page @FoxGirls1, which is our page for boutique management for independent escorts. Show us some love over there, and I look forward to speaking with you in our next lesson.